All right, hello everyone. This is My Two Cents. Welcome to the channel. This week I am hosting the Cool Capitalist Kids podcast. I'm joined by quite a large group tonight, so I guess if everyone wants to say hello, a thing on my channel I usually go alphabetically to prevent people from talking over each other. So AmeriCap, as always, go first.
Yeet. I'm AmeriCap. I run a channel that's currently not really posting any content because distracted, but I will soon, so check that out.
All right, SO, you're next.
All right, hey, I'm SO. Well, I don't think there's anything I could say about myself most of you in the chat wouldn't already know about. Yeah, we created this podcast about a week ago, and now we're hosting it on a bigger channel. Second episode, we're already at My Two Cents.
All right, Filthy.
Oh, hi, I'm the Heretic. That's my intro.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
Hoplu.
Hello, this is Hoplu. I make animations. Things. Or at least I try to make animations. If I had the time to, which I do now. So I'm making them again. Hello.
Meg.
I have a small channel where I make just different ANCAP stuff, and I'm working on a video now that you'll see soon, so wait for that.
And last but certainly not least, Night Shift.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Okay, looks like Pipsqueak just joined us, so hello, Pipsqueak.
Hey, good to be here.
Hello.
All right, I believe we have about 3 different articles we're going to talk about, so whoever wants to take the lead, let's get
Well,
started.
we were initially doing internet censorship, right? Like,
that's true. I'll talk about that quick. Some of you may have seen James Alsup and True Diltom did a stream. It might have been a few weeks ago now, but just recently that was called Why We Aren't Libertarians. And it was focusing on the issue of internet censorship and whether or not the government is necessary to regulate big tech firms. Now, I had planned on doing a stream that was a response to that stream. Between the time I planned to do that and now, James Alsup removed, like I said, I don't know if he removed it or just privatized it, but in any case, the stream is unavailable. I was not able to go back and review it to make sure I had all my points in order. So I do want to talk about the topic, though. I can't really say it's a response to that stream anymore because I can't verify that I'm responding specifically to anything said. But I know Esoteric did a couple videos about this, and certainly with FreedomNet and other things y'all might be familiar with. So I guess I'll put the question out there, and then we'll see what everyone has to say. I'm sure we're all pretty much on the same page. But a lot of people, to include big name YouTubers, not just James Alsup, but Styx Hexenhammer, Paul Joseph Watson, they're all saying that Alex Jones getting kicked off of YouTube and every other platform is proof that free market competition doesn't work. We need the state to step in and make the internet free.
Baloney.
yeah,
Alex Jones has gotten more attention because of getting banned than he did beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, without the stream, there's not really much to say that already hasn't been said. But no, the free market did not cause this problem because all of these social media companies which did this are heavily subsidized by the government, and the media which is enabling them, CNN, MSNBC, they're also subsidized, so they don't have any actual incentive to provide quality service. They're just de facto arms of the state at this point. And that's how the state's treating them. I mean, before they even banned Alex Jones, like, I don't know if it was before or around that time, but there was a bill being circulated around the Senate in response to the Internet Bill of Rights stuff. And yeah, they the bill was calling for the government to nationalize social media companies and criminalize people for saying things which the FCC arbitrarily deems to be unfair.
What a load of BS.
So it's just like, oh, you're gonna take the social media companies, you're gonna take out the middleman, and instead you're just gonna have politicians directly criminalizing people for disagreeing with them. Sounds like a plan, but no, seriously, that's pretty terrifying. That all it takes is just a little controlled opposition, and you got the former culture warriors fighting for the government to essentially establish a 1984 hellscape over the internet. So this problem, quite simply, is not going to be solved through any form of regulation, because government intervention caused the problem to begin with. And yeah, the culture warriors aren't going to be on our side this time. So what we got to do is we have to decentralize the internet, which is why I created the FNet project with Filthy Heretic.
There's one other thing I want to bring up, and that I'm surprised most people haven't really talked about, and that is, even assuming that there was a legislative solution to all of these problems, there isn't, by the way, but let's just, for the sake of argument, assume that there is, then what is the guarantee that any legislation that would ever be pushed through Congress would even resemble anything that you would ever support? Like just the example of the bill that's being passed through Congress, it's not being justified to prevent internet censorship. You read the actual bill, and it's very explicit about this. The bill's purpose is to stop Russian misinformation campaigns, stop Russian bots.
There is no way that any kind of bill won't be passed without the deadliest strings attached to it.
The strings.
What I find most disturbing is the sort of hive mind you've seen in the, like I've been seeing in the skeptic community. It's like all of them universally decided, well, now we're going to be authoritarians. I mean, they always were deep down inside. They just didn't realize it. And I find it even more hilarious that you go through, and each one of them has the exact same talking points. Each one of them seems to just be hell-bent on making the internet a public utility, yet they have no idea what that entails, and they have no idea that the government is already involved in the internet way more than it should be. And so it's funny to me that these individuals that got me into, making videos in the first place have kind of turncoated to some degree and sided with basically authority, and sided with, well, don't worry, the people we like are in power this time, so everything's going to be okay.
They always say that, then it turns to shit.
Exactly.
Well, here's the other thing, though. You could argue, like what I've heard Sargon and some other people argue is, we could just pass a good bill, which is going to pass good regulations. Well, here's the problem with that, though. Even if you were to give them exactly what they wanted, give them, if you were to make it so social media companies couldn't regulate what people said on their platforms, how would the government go about forcing these companies to all conform to one code? You can't do that without nationalizing the internet. So this bill that was proposed is essentially exactly what they are asking for, whether they understand that or not.
Yep.
The thing that always
go ahead.
The thing that always comes to my mind is, I think I've brought this up on previous streams before. There's a quotation that's been attributed to a lot of different people. I'm not sure who really said it first, but it was, the same government that has the power to give you everything you want is a government that has the power to take everything you have. And basically what people forget, what everyone wants is, when things aren't going their way, they want the government to step in and make things the way they want to be. The conservatives want a powerful government that does build society the way they think society should be. The liberals want a powerful government that should make society the way they want to be. All the while, none of them stopping to think about the fact that the moment someone new is voted into office, they can completely 180 and undo everything the previous administration did. So that's just flopping back and forth between two different authoritarians who have their different visions for society.
And a lot of them, they support the exact same things, they just advertise it differently. For example, conservatives support trade protectionism and tariffs, and liberals support increasing the corporate tax rate. They have the exact same effect on the economy, except they're just advertised differently.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of crybabies that just want to turn the internet into their safe space. It's all BS.
Yeah, and ironically, a lot of the people who are speaking out that the government needs to regulate the internet are the same ones that were so vocally supporting Masterpiece Cake Shop in Colorado and his right to say, I'm not going to make these certain cake orders. That of course being an issue of freedom of association. Now, to be clear, the people who are angry that he won't make their cakes are perfectly free to boycott his business. And if it came to it, if they literally were able to get enough of his customers to boycott his business, he would lose his business. Yet, and they say that's his right. But if a private corporation is kicking people off their platform, which, as an aside, I do think YouTube and Facebook and some of these corporations are defrauding their users by coming up with these ridiculous explanations. They can't actually explain how the terms of service were violated. But if, for example, it said in the terms of service, we can kick you off for any reason, no explanation, then yes, I think they certainly should have the right to do that. But they wouldn't do it if they didn't have government propping them up with subsidies. They certainly wouldn't kick off someone who was earning them hundreds of thousands. Well,
they also wouldn't do it because nobody would use their platform if they did.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, the reason why we aren't going to have anybody really on our side in the skeptic community, at least if we do, it's going to be few and far between of people who are on our side of this whole thing, is because at the end of the day, ANCAPs commit to them anyway. We commit the cardinal sin of remaining instant.
It's funny. Like I said, this isn't really a response to that stream because the stream no longer exists. But the thing that caught my ear was that very early in the stream between Allsup and True Diltom, True Diltom was basically talking about how he considers himself to be a former ANCAP and how the ANCAP community is still lost, is more or less, I don't remember his exact words, I can't reference the stream anymore, but we're more or less delusional to think that everyone else is so woke or whatever.
Yeah, I remember I remember when he talked about when he was an ANCAP, and he talked about it as if being an ANCAP is just bringing up the non-aggression principle all the time, and that's just not the case. I think
anyone who says they were once an ANCAP or a libertarian were probably never a libertarian to begin with, but just someone saying that they're libertarian.
Exactly.
Or at the very least, they were attracted to the ideas, but never understood the ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. It's actually kind of unfortunate, but I just want to say something to the skeptic community for all, 2 of you who are watching. We do want to have a discussion. We want to talk to you. We want to have these conversations. I mean, on Gab...
And we don't want to be called corporate shills because of them.
Yeah, precisely.
Oh, God,
so, on Gab, I asked Sargon if we could go on a discussion. I don't know if he saw it, but the invitation is open. I mean, get me, Esso, and Sargon on his live stream channel. I'm sure that would be a very interesting discussion.
We may say some of our stuff here, but it would be both good for his fans and with our fans as well if we had a proper debate talking about challenging different ideas. That would be not only just good for them, but also I think it would just be a really fun stream and also be really educational. Also, I think it would be really good if we did talk to them or they talk to us, and I'm talking about everyone in the skeptic community.
Hold on, one question. When you're talking about the skeptic community, what exactly is the skeptic community, or what is your definition of it exactly?
Well, I'm not sure. That's another kind of loaded term. I think the skeptic community was, everyone says Sargon because he's one of the ones that made the skeptic community famous. On one hand, the skeptic community could be considered more the atheist agnostic community, but it kind of shifted away from that and became just anyone who, as a matter of course, uses their YouTube channel to debunk feminism, young earth creationism. I mean, there were other things. I always seem to remember that feminism and young earth creationism were the favorite topics.
That's how it started. I actually was watching them before, the catalyst, and that's exactly what it was. Skeptics early on were like anti-theists, atheists, agnostics, responding to creationists or other mythical nonsense. Then the catalyst, which was Gamergate, happened. Then it became more. It was more attractive to anti-SJWs, people who opposed communism, stuff like that, because that became sort of the mainstream culture. That's why the first wave of the skeptic movement existed to begin with, was because the dominant dogmatic domineering culture that was prominent in politics and media at the time was creationism and all that nonsense. Then it had become clear that feminism, communism, and all these groups had become the mainstream narrative. Okay. And I don't know what the catalyst is going to be next, but we're nearing the next catalyst, and I think that the next catalyst is going to be statists versus libertarians. I honestly do.
Fourth turning, man. Fourth turning.
Because honestly, that's actually what I wanted to mention. Look at the political paradigm. That's what it's shaping into. You don't have people fighting social justice versus individualism as much anymore. That's still an undercurrent, but it's not like the prevalent debate. Nowadays, it's increasingly becoming more and more government statism versus non-government libertarianism.
I would have to disagree with that, just for the fact that before I joined into this community, and I'm talking about with ANCAPs and libertarians, I mostly, whenever I heard anyone talk, I mostly would hear them talking about either against SJW stuff or stuff with conservatives. I never really... They talked a little bit about with communism, but they didn't really speak about it too much. Now, maybe that's because it was like about a year ago. Before I joined in this community, I didn't really hear too much of that. And so I think because we talk about that more, maybe we hear it more, or I could be wrong.
It's changed a lot. Like if you look at Sargon, if you look at these other channels, they're starting to talk a lot more about economics, communism, socialism, regulation. So I thought it was just the ANCAP circle and being more entrenched in libertarian politics at first, but then I was actually looking at a lot of these bigger channels, and no, it does seem to be the more prevalent debate now.
Okay, that's actually what I thought you guys were talking about, because I am actually part of the original skeptic movement, or the original skeptic community that came up. I am part of that, was part of that, but if it does turn into something like ANCAPs versus, statism, and if they go with like the statist side of things, if they go with the statist side of things, I will drop them like a sack of bricks. I'm not even kidding about that. You've got my support.
All you need to know is that Styx Hexenhammer unironically came out and made the too big to fail arguments for social media. We can't drop Facebook. They're too big to fail. These are the people who will lose their jobs. Am I the only one who heard that?
Sorry, I must have missed something. Which video is this?
He made half a dozen videos on this, but I definitely recall he definitely made a remark about I would need to see the video again, but
it was one of his videos. I think it was titled "We Need an Internet Bill of Rights," and like 5 minutes in, that's where he says it.
Yeah. Essentially, as I recall, he started out saying he wanted YouTube, Facebook to be regulated as a public utility.
My God.
He backed off that, but still said, okay, they don't need to be a public utility, but we need an Internet Bill of Rights that they all have to abide by.
Okay, and that's what they don't understand, is that in order to do that, they need the government to classify social media companies as a public utility, because the government has to have dominion over these private entities in order for that to be the case.
Not to mention, the more control they have over social media, the harder it is for startups to exist, because they have to deal with more and more government involvement. Like you know why VidMe failed? It's because of the fact that they couldn't afford the necessary lawyers and such to deal with copyright nonsense that YouTube is able to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a storage space problem, which is why BitChute is doing so well, because it's peer-to-peer. It's like each video is stored on many different computers around the world rather than having to pay for centralized storage.
Yeah, that's why. That's blockchain is the future. Blockchain is the future.
Oh man, you know, I've said it before, and I will say it again right here and now. The internet is the largest, most functional anarcho-capitalist community in the world. That's what it was supposed to be. That's what it was meant to be.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it's doing, and it's doing it well. They can take their Internet Bill of Rights, they can take their government regulations, and they can go straight to hell with them.
Oh yeah, because in the face of them trying to nationalize the internet, we're just going to decentralize it so they can't.
Oh yeah, the best example of that is with Cody Wilson and Defense Distributed. I mean, here's this government that's like, "Hey, you can't distribute those files," and it's like, "Watch me, bitch!" Now they're all over the fucking internet.
There's nothing you can do about it.
And you can look back a few years ago when Russia and China both tried to outlaw cryptocurrency, and after they did that, the crypto economy grew in the local markets because people were just like, "Wait a minute, you don't know that we're trading in this. Why should we listen to you?"
Gee, weird.
Yeah, the cryptocurrency companies were like, they were looking at Russia and China. Russia and China were like, "You're not more powerful than us," and the cryptocurrency companies were like, "Watch me, bitch. Watch me make this happen."
Well, gee, it's almost as if the government sucks at doing things. Weird.
Absolutely. Wow.
The government can't do anything. It can't do for the good of mankind, and it can't do for the evil of mankind.
It's also as if the government literally can't survive if people are free to do whatever they want.
Oh, that's weird.
That's why there's the nature of statecraft.
Yeah, Mag, you got something?
Yeah, this is something I want to bring up, and this is something you talked about before. Actually, I kind of have two things if I have the air. One, we're saying the B word a lot. You don't want that. 2 cents. I'm just bringing it up. We've been saying that a lot.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just bringing it up.
And this SJW stream.
Aww. What have you done?
Relax, Meg. I think, so far as I know, it's only the F word that gets the stream demonetized. But
okay, then. And there's something light I want to bring up when you guys were talking about before that there's going to be a new wave when it's going to be about with libertarians versus social. Did you say socialism or communism?
Statism.
Okay, statism. Okay, wait. Okay, so statism. The only thing I'm hearing is that I don't think it will turn into this because they're willing to debate with each other, but I know they won't. But what I fear is the fact that I don't want us to turn into how the SJWs versus the conservatives were, where basically they're at a two-man battle and there's something else. The reason why I love this community so much is that it's a third option. You see everything from an outside's perspective, and you always look at the facts. I don't want us to turn into just two head-butting people.
Yeah, well, it's ironic that you bring that up because I think what I see happening is the various statists are debating amongst each other, and they're trying to say, we're not even going to deal with the ANCAPs. They don't have anything meaningful to say. Well, I mean, if you believe that,
people attacking libertarianism and ANCAPism.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Well, I think what you're going to see is that because at this point with the anti-SJW community, there's really nothing left. They've kind of already won against the the SJWs because there's nothing left to say about them. They've said everything they could possibly say, and now everyone's like, feminists are dumb. Like we know that now. So like
all the statists are now just looking at the voluntarists, the ANCAPs, the individualists, and they're saying nothing to see here. Don't look here. God forbid if you look here.
And that's why I think that it will be between us and them because at this point, it's their only hope for fresh content is to respond to us and respond because we're the only ones at this point that people are actually like, hey, listen, Styx Hexenhammer, we know, we usually agree with you, but this guy has some valid points. And then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, what you're saying is...
One thing I think is the most interesting by far is that we don't need their approval, fundamentally. I mean,
Nope.
like, did Cody Wilson seek out Sargon's permission, approval, or platform to basically completely remove basically innovate gun control out of existence? Of course not.
No.
We just need to get to work and do stuff.
This is gonna create a very interesting dynamic because unlike the last two phases of the skeptic debates, both sides required public approval for them to get their way, but ANCAPs really don't because we have agorism and decentralization, which is something that you basically would have to agree with us in order to also benefit from.
I don't know why, but that reminds me when my professor asked, "Hey, is anybody in here registered to vote? You gonna vote and fix this country or whatever?" He was pointing to everyone, and everybody was raising my hands, and I had my hands down, and he pointed at me, and I went, "No, I'm an agorist. I just have to sit back and watch the fireworks."
Yeah.
I just have to watch this shit fail.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump in quick. We've had a lot of good stuff to say, but we're about halfway through the stream already, so we better get to some of those next topics.
All right. So the first topic is the city of San Francisco, the government, is paying people $185,000 a year to walk through the streets and scoop up poop. I can't say the word. But yeah. So that's how bad it is in San Francisco. For those of you who don't know, in medieval Europe, in the cities, they used to have these people called. They used to have these. Can I finish? They used to have these people that were called muckrakers, and essentially, what a muckraker's job was because they didn't have sewage in most houses, people would just throw their waste out onto the street, and muckrakers would pick up crap and sell it to farmers as fertilizer. So now we are literally, at least San Francisco is literally in medieval European living conditions.
Except the difference is they're not paying for drug cartels, people who want to get high off their ass. They're literally paying for these people to do that. They'll put up a little safe place and they can get high out there. They didn't do that back then.
Hey, you know what? If someone paid me $185 a year or $185,000 a year to pick up poop, I'd do it. But let's be clear here. In the article, like, it specifies that these people actually get paid around $75 a year. The other $185 comes from benefits, which really begs the question: what kind of healthcare plan do they have?
Accidentally stepping on one of those needles and getting AIDS.
They probably also have like getting a golden grill on your teeth covered in your dental plan. Because oh my goodness, they must have like the best plan possible.
Yeah, if you read the article as well, you'd see those people, they're wearing like hazmat suits because, of the fear that they could contract some sort of incurable disease by accidentally getting stuck with a needle. Because apparently just to walk through the streets without getting AIDS now in San Francisco, you need a hazmat suit.
I feel really bad for my family because most of my family actually lives in San Francisco, and I'm so glad my family's not going there right now. But I feel bad for most of my family that lives in San Francisco. Why
people are gonna be fighting to get into Alcatraz Island to escape it.
No. Like I keep hearing the song in my head, "Going down to San Francisco." Oh, shit! I stepped in it.
Well, you said it too.
Oh my god.
Okay. On another note, the state of California is already well past broke based on how many benefits they're trying to pay out, how many people they have on welfare. At this point, I forget the exact percentage, but I think the top 1% in California are paying something like 60% of all taxes now.
Jesus.
Oh yeah. No, like we're losing businesses every year. I think between like 2013 and I think 2017, over 10,000 businesses either left, went out of business, or changed plans. Basically, changed their plans of coming to California.
Wait a minute, you actually live in California?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Why have you?
The
why have you
People's
not
Republic.
left yet?
I don't have the
I'm not
means
18.
to.
I can't leave.
Move to Idaho. Move here. It's way better.
Run away. Do anything. Holy shit. Anything.
Move out. Get
is
just
better than
go to
living in
Texas.
California.
I actually had a friend, with one of the guys that introduced me to anarcho-capitalism in this Discord server, right? He actually, so he was like part of this. Have you guys heard of the Free State Project in New Hampshire?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was part of that, right? And he was like, yeah, dude, just come down to New Hampshire. And I was like, I don't, I don't even have a job yet. I'm not even done with college. And he was like, no, dude. When I came down here, I had all I had was the clothes on my back, and came in on the fumes of my Chevy, whatever, some shitty car. And he goes, a month later, I had a house and a job and all this shit. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah, the Free State Project's pretty awesome, actually.
Oh yeah,
it's been kind of taken over by like mutualists and stuff, but the standards haven't changed much. Like there's still the right to property and stuff. Like they still respect property rights. They haven't gone collectivist.
That's good.
FYI, my only excuse is that I'm kind of still stuck in high school, so I have no choice, and I'm still.
Dude, if I were you, I'd rather walk all the way from California to New Hampshire than live in California for.
Oh, I don't blame you. I've
Amen.
been planning for 3 years to move to Arizona because that's where I want to go. Go ahead.
Amen. You could not pay me to live in the People's Republic of California. You could not pay me. I'm
neither.
serious.
What about 185,000 a year?
No. Oh, not even that much. Not even that, which would be.
I wouldn't even feel
Well,
good.
also keep in mind
because that's coming out of tax money. I wouldn't really feel good about taking that.
That's true.
that, and also keep in mind
guys.
how much.
I think everyone's forgetting a point here. The cost of living in California is
I
so
was just
goddamn
about to
high
know.
that isn't even that much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, of the top 10 most expensive cities to live in, 3 of them are in California.
Yes.
You know what's still also sad is that I've tried convincing my dad to leave so bad, and I've given him all these different facts and statistics, and he's basically said, "Stop! I'm a child, and I shouldn't be doing this. You're not an adult yet. You're not going out there and gonna get married yet. Stop it! You're still a kid." And it's like, I'm trying to give you these facts, and you're basically ignoring them. Why? This can help you. You are blind. Most people are too stubborn to leave.
Boomer.
It's one of those, huh? Oh, you're my kid, so nothing you say is valid unless it conforms to what I also believe.
Pretty much.
Yay.
Basically, my dad.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how many helicopters it would take to drop the entirety of California out.
I don't think.
900,
just
900
lights of the little.
Drop all of
900
California
million.
from a
I don't know, no
helicopter.
kidding.
I think
Drop all of California from a helicopter, dude.
I'd start a helicopter business, and try to build up the capital as much as possible, and just devote everything, every profit I make, will just go to eventually funding the project of having the entire population of California that is at least to the left of Karl Marx, and then we'll have them all dropped out of helicopters onto
Question.
targets. We'll
Guys,
paint it.
question.
We'll paint targets in the Arizona desert. And we'll make it a game about trying to hit the center. The one who can get
Hey guys, question.
I can't wait till the big one hits and this bitch finally slides off into the ocean.
Yes!
Yeah!
Yes.
That's exactly what I've been saying since whenever I started saying this.
Well, Hoplu would be excited because he'd have beachfront property.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yeah!
He's doing Lex.
Yeah!
He's doing the Lex Luthor thing.
Premium.
Why is the
property? We're just waiting for California to sink into the ocean.
why does the U.S. still keep California? Doesn't Californians been wanting to leave the U.S. country-wise for a long time?
They're holding a referendum on it in September, which is probably not going to do anything.
No, I thought they shot that down.
I heard it was still going, but
Well, I mean,
okay.
they're gonna
They
stay-
couldn't
I
shut
heard-
it down.
They're going to stay in
I
the
think that
United
was
States
the
because
proposal to split it into 3 different states that got shot down. I don't know about the secession movement.
Well, I know that
there's no way that's happening.
If they're gonna keep California because the Democrat Party needs its electoral votes.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is that there's no way that California is gonna split up because it's too important to the progressives. And as I pointed out, and as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez herself was dumb enough to say in my video that I pointed out, that's essentially their strategy, is to, quote, expand the electorate. So...
I don't mean to interrupt, but are we going to keep talking about California? We're going to move on to our other subjects. We have.
Yeah, we got to move on, but yeah. We've basically just been interrupting one another this entire stream, so.
Lovely. That's what happens in big chats.
Well, we got like 8 people here. It's going to happen.
All right. So in, I don't know what the name of this town is. Majorca, Spain. Spanish police, busted an illegal turtle farm, what they call it, which was basically a pet shop, which was, dude, stop. Okay, they busted this illegal turtle farm, which was a pet shop selling endangered turtles. But the thing is, though, they claimed that it was a threat to the conservation efforts, but they recovered 750 eggs and 1,100 of these endangered turtles. And
reminds me. Oh.
And the only reason, so it seems the only reason that the state came down on them is just because they were private individuals. Whereas if a conservationist had run into an isolated population this size in the wild, they would have been. I mean, they would be ecstatic. That would be on like international headlines.
Wouldn't
this reminds me of that one time with those that rhino thing? You remember that?
Yes.
Where the poachers, they were killing all the rhinos to cut off their horns because the horns were valuable, but poaching was illegal. But when it was legalized, they had the farms where they would just knock the rhinos out and just saw off their horns, go back. And this actually saved a lot of endangered rhinos. But then when the Western, environmentalist, they decided, no, this was unacceptable, and the practice was made illegal, the poaching continued, and the rhinos were destroyed, to say the least.
Wouldn't it be kind of a good thing to, in a sense, farm these endangered animals? Because through farming, well, let me rephrase. Through the free market, you want to keep having all these animals, so you're selling them, so you do want to breed them, but you want them to be healthy, so you're selling them. So you're going to put high-quality animals, so they're going to be healthy.
Yes, that's exactly why.
Doesn't fit the environmentalist message, so that can go.
I will not rest until I can get panda meat at Walmart. All right.
Whale meat. Whale meat.
That's exactly why. That is exactly why the free market is better at conservation than the state, because the state doesn't have any actual incentive to preserve their resources, or in this case, maintain an animal population, whereas a free market does.
Yeah,
I've said this forever, and it's that markets and private firms have the incentive to create resource efficiency and long-term investments, which will be better off for the economy, the environment, and the poor, whereas the environmentalist movements want short-term goals, short-term fees, which will ultimately be worse off for not only the economy, not only the poor, but the environment itself. Like the straw thing. You know what they're going to use instead of plastic straws? They're going to use wooden straws, something that takes a lot more trees and is a lot more expensive. So who benefits from that?
Yeah, me over here.
No one!
There's another example I recall off the top of my head, which is, I'm pretty sure you all learned in grade school, like the massacre of the bison in the West.
Yeah,
towards their lowest number, there were like 1,000 left. Like they were on the brink of extinction. The very instant ranchers started to be able to buy and sell and exchange in bison. Now the bison population is so numerous, you can go to your grocery store right now and buy bison meat.
Yep.
Yep.
It's like the free
Yeah,
market did
think about
more
that.
than any government could even imagine.
Yeah, think about that. That without the free market, you would have never,
The definition
you would
of
have never
failure.
known. You would have never known the taste of bison meat had it been for the free market.
And for those of you who
That's what
haven't had bison meat, it's like beef except better.
Oh yeah,
It is
especially
way
like if you mix it with if you mix the like if you make a hamburger patty and put like bean sprouts in it and grill that, it's super good. Like
Yeah,
that's what
if only the concept of liberalism had been around, it was only a few hundred years older, then I could have known the taste of dodo meat.
Another thought. There's been all the talk about how in Venezuela people were literally breaking into the zoos to kill zoo animals. They were so desperate for food.
Oh yeah, they were.
So for all the animal rights activists, it's pretty clear socialism does a pretty good job of killing off animals.
When-
Out of curiosity, how many
one
species
thing
do
I
you
wanna
think
add-
were made extinct by the Soviet Union?
A lot.
You want
I
to look
have
at
no
evolution, look no
into
further than totalitarian socialist regimes.
Just based on what they did to their lakes, like the Black Sea, what the Soviet Union did to that. Oh my God, I could only imagine the number of species that were wiped out because of them.
Well,
Yeah, they
forget
And
that.
speaking of Rockefeller, you know, the evil Rockefeller and his evil Standard Oil managed to make its empire by reduced by kerosene instead of dumping them in the river like everyone else. Like, isn't that amazing?
Interesting.
Well,
Yes.
what I find what I find interesting is that it's kind of like whatever the state touches just turns to absolute garbage. Like,
Well, that's normal. That's absolutely normal.
it's just it's just kind of like, oh, you like this lake? It's really beautiful. Oh, watch when I don't have incentive to take care of it, and it just turns to blood like the fucking Nile.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But
This,
the life cycle is essentially everything is great. The state rolls in, it becomes awful. The state points the finger. It was the fault of the market. We need more state. The state
literally-
there's more
That's
state.
how we
the
got
state-
that
Michigan,
meme.
and that's how we
It
got
literally is that meme, though. Like, they'll say, oh, this was a successful reform. Look at the short-term effect. Then the moment that it starts going to shit, they'll turn around and say, well, look at what the market did. This was the market.
That's-
us.
Not only
That's
that,
something
but
they've
look at
been
the
nailing-
short-term effects in this one single area that I've picked out.
and back to
Goodness
what
me.
you, back to what kind of Esso said earlier, or that's something they've been nailing into kids since the time of high school and before then. That no, this wasn't the government's problem. It's capitalism that's basically pumping out all these resources, making all this different stuff. In reality, we didn't want this. They used all these resources and they used them wrong. No,
Way to
I've been
Yeah,
teaching that
private
into my
firms-
head for years.
Private firms always want to spend a lot on wasting resources instead of using them efficiently. Like, who doesn't want to waste money?
Way to basically advertise my upcoming video for me, because that's
Oh,
the video
lovely.
I'm just
You're
about
welcome.
done with.
Oh, speaking of which, I wanted to ask my 2 cents, something about a potential video that we could collab on. Oh gosh, it's based on an episode of Family Guy. Do you remember that episode of Family Guy when they got rid of the government in Quahog?
Yes, I do.
I did
actually,
a video about that.
I was thinking we could do a video of that. I was thinking that we could collab on a video of something like that.
I did
Yeah,
a video
I-
about that.
Collaborate with
So much
Esso
wrong
for
with
that.
Yeah,
actually.
I and
just quick.
Hoffman.
Filthy Heretic actually already did one about that, but message me on
shoot.
Twitter later. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I
Okay,
and
that sounds
Hoffman we're gonna do a video on that. Like, we were working on one.
I already did a video about that episode.
Yeah, but
Peter
wait,
George's Tea Party.
that doesn't mean that we can't.
I know, but just pointing it out.
Oh
Do
crap!
it
I really wanted to
again.
do that.
All right, yeah, we'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay,
Anyways, we've
sounds
got
good.
about 15 minutes left, so we want to move on to the
All
final
right.
topic.
And yeah, we do have a few more topics here. Yeah. So a school, Emmis High School in Pennsylvania, was showing LGBT videos to students in the school, and the page is loading really quick. The videos ranged from 9 questions gay people have about straight people. So
God.
BuzzFeed basically, they were showing these kids. Then videos, quote unquote, educating students about gender fluidity.
I thought religion
And,
was banned from public schools.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
actually-
So let me finish. Let me finish. I'm not done. And so some parents asked to see the material that the school was showing to their kids, and the school is refusing to show the parents what they're teaching their kids.
Of course.
Oh my god.
Actually, you know what?
Oh.
No, Mag, I'm sorry, but I've got to say this. The minute that the LGBTQ plus community started trying to induct pedophiles, they lost my respect and they lost my support. And I frankly have washed my hands of anything to that movement. So they can. Blech. No, thank you.
I think the wealth of them, about half at least, are against them, though.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. As is,
Can I say
progressive
something?
movements are openly against pedophilia, but they're very quickly moving in support of pedophilia.
Of
And
course.
I think it's not unreasonable to suspect that by 2020 or 2021, the Democrat Party will be openly supporting pedophilia.
Yep.
Not surprised. And something I want to say, actually, in regards to what you were saying earlier, I just came back today from a school rally, and the principal, from the minute that she started this, was basically advertising her entire school. Diversity, acceptance, we're not going to bigotry like people do on the news all the time. No, we're so accepting. You
Oh,
accept
Jesus.
my ass. I was banished to the oblivion of no one, where teachers and students were freaking hating me, and I had to go into the
Yep.
darkness to make it so I could live again.
Yep.
No, F off.
No, well, because why be tolerant to straight people? Why be tolerant to straight people who have good ideas?
no,
Oh,
never.
and
Why
as for
that?
the LGBT community, I know people
yeah,
who
they can get away
actually
with all kinds of
technically are them, but they're ashamed to be called it because of the community themselves. You're making so people want to be in the closet because people hate you, because you're so embarrassing is the best word.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
that's the other thing is how cringy the LGBT is. I'm pretty sure they're keeping people in the closet more than the evangelicals could have ever dreamed to.
Hell,
And the
I'm
only
pretty sure
thing
we
they're
were,
not really real.
I think we're a pretty diverse group here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just on that note, the LGBT community has been all outspoken recently. So Scarlett Johansson gets a role in a movie where she's supposed to play a trans woman, a man who's transitioned to be a woman, and they just go out on her because you're not a real trans. We need a real trans woman
Oh,
playing this.
God.
No, don't do that to
Have
Scarlett
you
Johansson.
never heard of
Don't do
that
that to
game?
Scarlett Johansson, please.
They get the man the he-she from Shrek. From
Yes.
Shrek 2.
Then there was, continuing in the same line of thought, there was, I guess there's a new television, I didn't even know the show existed, but I heard about it recently. Like, there's a Batwoman TV series now, and
Oh,
I guess in DC Comics recently changed the character so that she's a lesbian. The woman who is cast to play the character is bisexual, and there was outcry that because she's not a full lesbian, she's not authorized to
to
play
bi
that
means you
role.
like girls, right?
But the thing is, I thought this story was notable more for the fact that propaganda in school is getting so bad now. Like, it's always been bad. That's structurally how government education is designed. It's based on the Prussian model, but it's getting so bad now that they're even hesitant to show the parents what they're teaching their kids. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
terrifying.
Of course, because you remember the backlash when a lot of the Common Core math problems started to come out.
Oh god.
Two
Common
plus
Core
two
is
equals
cancer.
15.
Hey guys, I have a funny story if you're willing to hear.
Sure.
Go for it.
So when I was in a requirement for our classes have to take government. That's one of our classes you have to take for history. But I'm in this class. We're basically we're creating our own different government. And someone asked him, I didn't even ask this. Someone asked the teacher, can I put anarchy? And he basically said no. Well, because it means you can't answer all the other questions. So I'm making you choose a government. And he looked right at me when he said, I laughed my ass off.
Yes.
I don't know if that was very funny, but that's funny as hell to me.
No,
what
I
you do
get
is
it. I get it.
I think you can probably circumvent that because chances are this teacher probably knows absolutely nothing about anarchism. So he basically
my
just
teacher's a communist. He's always been a communist. Which is why I'm so scared to take his class. I'm basically learning government from a communist.
Yeah, but here's what you do. You just say like that the means. You just say that the all the means of decision making in society are left down to the individual, and that individuals defend themselves. You basically describe an anarchist society, but you call it a government.
That's what I'm doing.
Perfect.
No,
And which is why I'm so glad I have a living friend with me, and we're both agreeing on that.
No,
So we're still doing it, but we're still forced to do some government stuff because I have no choice.
Or use a euphemism for anarchism, like voluntarism or individualism.
Really good idea.
Crypto commies tactics against them.
I will say, if you have to learn government from anybody, you may as well learn it from a commie because they know how to do statism better than if anybody's going to know statism, it's going to be the commies. Now, economics on the other hand,
No, his class is crazy.
economics on the other hand, now you don't want to learn that from a commie.
Oh no,
Exactly.
I did, and it was cringy as hell. And this class is super cringy as hell as well. Except it gets even worse. He's having the best time of his life.
My high school economics teacher was a constitutional libertarian.
Well, I mean that's better.
I'm so
I guess.
jealous.
It is better, but
That's an oxymoron, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but,
that's
you
what
know,
I was
it's-
thinking.
It's better than most forms of statism.
his retirement plan was he was going to move.
Economics classes even are either dominated by Keynes or Chicago.
The only good thing on my life for my governance class is that I'm gonna have so many ideas for videos. It's the only good thing. It's the only good thing.
Oh, that's actually a very good thing.
Yes.
You know, you actually look at how rulers come to take power. You read stuff like, say, The Prince by Machiavelli, and you realize, wow, this organization is just inherently horrible.
Hey guys, we have
Yes.
7 minutes, so we should wrap up any last minute points or say anything from the chat.
Well, I was just gonna say I got relatively lucky on school economics, and I mean I've been pretty open with you guys that in like my English classes they were pushing propaganda about the wage gap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in my economics class, it was strange because my economics class, they literally just put on videos by Dave Ramsey, which is like, I guess they realized that, hey, we're fucking up on every other field. May as well just, I guess we can't go wrong with just playing videos from somebody who kind of knows what he's talking about.
My English teacher is so bad at the fact that she thinks that teens are getting stressed because they can't trust the media anymore, even though I trust places like CNN, The Times, etc., etc., and all those other things. They're not real.
So many crazy
Lady,
people.
you are a part of the journalism class. You literally make newspapers for this school. What are you doing? And the only good thing is I get to work in the newspapers this year, so yay.
The university system will not survive the next 10 years.
I
I'm going
can't
to
wait
make a
till
prediction.
college. I really
Not as it
cannot wait
not
till
as it
college.
currently exists, especially with the open access to information that people are getting. I'm almost certain that the market is moving towards apprenticeships.
Yeah, well, you know,
Yeah.
I think it was Filthy. You did a video responding to the infographic show where they were talking about the necessity of education, and then in the very episode, they do an ad for Skillshare.com.
Oh yeah.
I find it. God. I find it because I find it funny that you mentioned that because like I'm in college right now, and so far I have learned more on the internet than I ever have in a class, and it legit I have a friend who's a history major, and I know a lot more about history than he does. an insane amount, more than he does.
Which I still question how, because I've seen all these different colleges that were liberal as fuck, safe faces, and propaganda. How did you end up with a good college? How? I'm scared to go to college, but I want to actually have a good teacher.
I happen to live in a very conservative area of California.
That's why I'm in the Bay Area. So.
Yeah, basically, it's all like farms and stuff down here. Like, if you didn't know where you were at, you would think you're in Texas for a second.
Well, I have all cows around me too, and they're going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ree.
I was trying to reference that.
Yeah, they're basically autistically screeching, Ree.
The cows around you are saying, respect my safe space.
Damn wall cows.
What's funnier is the fact that his cows are actually smarter than mine. That's what's sad. A cow at least knows not to kill himself.
The cows around my area just lick light poles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot smarter than the cows in your area. We need to write in legislation that people can't possibly deny that I have phantom limbs. I'm Dragonkin.
Honestly,
that sounds like the deepest part of the furry community. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I would not mind if a cow in my area ran for office.
It'd be better than any human politician out there.
You know,
like he just takes a dump on the desk, like
Litterhuff for president.
You know what's funny about that is there's actually historical precedent. Wasn't there a Roman emperor who appointed his horse a senator?
Oh yeah, Caligula.
I believe.
That's what I always say to the myth of the noble ruler. What do you do when Caligula comes to power?
You don't.
What do you do, statist?
You die.
Well, you have a giant Roman orgy. You have a giant Roman orgy.
You snort some heroin. Oh wait, no. You snort some coke, lean back, play some nice music, and wait to die.
Pretty much.
Try not to get thrown into a bronze bowl.
Yeah, right. Well, what happens when Nero comes to power? I mean, right then and there. What happens when Nero comes in?
Well, you get your head chopped off.
Yeah, pretty much.
You kill yourself.
What about Robespierre?
If you don't, then he will, and you don't want to give him the satisfaction.
Oh, when Robespierre comes to power, you chop his head off.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, after he's done chopping off everyone else's head.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, Vlad the Impaler. We need you now.
I just need to say, I haven't loved you guys. You guys are so funny as hell. One reason I will always love this community.
Well,
it's
we love
memes
you
and
too,
facts everywhere. Thank you.
We love you too.
Well, I'll just say this. The side that's winning is the side that's having fun. This is something that
Yes.
what's his name? Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky understood.
Yeah, and if you look at the frickin' the statists, particularly on the progressive and commie side, you know, I just try and keep them out of my server because they're just so miserable. They act so miserable, and they try and bring everybody down with them. They're just not fun people to be around.
Oh,
Yeah,
certainly.
I remember I posted a meme on Facebook, like on my actual, like, you know, personhood Facebook, you know, the one that I have friends and family who know me on. Well, on that one I posted a meme, and it was it was a meme that said, like, oh, these women had invented straws that changed color if somebody spiked your drink with, you know, a date rape drug, right? Yeah. And below it said Hollywood bans straws.
Nice.
And somebody legit commented, you know, they also have a nail polish and a napkin that does the same thing. Also, not a cool meme. And
Hollywood banned napkins and nails.
It's like I saw that, and it took every ounce of my strength because I knew this person in real life, and I didn't want to make them mad. It took every ounce of my strength not to just be like, yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but I don't give a shit.
You should have made a separate account that no one knew. You should have made a separate account that no one knew and roast them there. You should have done that.
Oh, I want to be friends with AmeriCap on Facebook.
I pretty much I keep my Facebook just to let my friends and family know I'm still alive. That's pretty much it. Like I'm
Same
pretty much.
here. I actually did do that though. I have a sock account on Facebook I use to troll my mom with because she's like really big on like she comments a lot about conservative politics, and I love responding to her pretending to be a communist.
Oh, yeah.
I would still have
Do you
Facebook
think
because
she's
my
watching
dad's
the stream?
obsessed with being friends with me.
I pretty much I would switch, like I'm on Twitter and that's about Twitter and YouTube and that's about it now. I will eventually switch over to Gab, but for now
No,
I'm just...
don't switch to Gab. Go to Minds.
No,
Gab is a virgin.
Gab,
Minds
too.
is a Chad.
I have Gab.
The short and simple of it. Gab is a play.
Go to both.
Minds is
You know what?
better.
You know what? Go to both. Go to Minds and Gab because they're not bad.
Just go
websites.
to everyone. Just go
Yeah,
to
bro.
everyone. And
I'm
one thing I
already-
want to say, shameless plugging, go to Minds.
All
You
right.
know more about that 2 cents.
I'm already on BitChute, and that's actually it's been kind of nice. It's been just automatically mirroring my uploads, which basically made
Oh,
making my content available on BitChute a lot easier.
How do you do
And
that?
And me showed me how to do that. Yay.
How do you do that?
I'm gonna do that right when I get off this stream. Actually,
So the way you do it is you have to go into your settings. It takes a while to find, but basically you have to find your YouTube ID, and that you have to go to your settings, and then you have to go to, I think it's like settings, and it's like personal information, and your YouTube ID should be there somewhere, your channel ID, and
Yeah,
that's what
I
you
did
enter.
that. I did that, and I still have to manually upload these videos on BitChute.
Oh crap!
Yeah, it's not
Well,
working
you
for
did
everyone.
something wrong.
I know, like, I'm actually in a group chat with Shane Killian and the creators of BitChute, and they said they were trying to deal with they were having problems because YouTube is making it more difficult for them to mirror it. So if you have, if you have more video traffic, it actually slows down the mirroring of your content.
Lovely.
Oh,
Of
boy.
course.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's
all right. Well, it was a very good stream. I was glad to be on here. And one last thing before I go, my 2 cents.
Yes?
A friend of mine named Sprin told me to call you gay. Goodbye.
All right, well.
Well,
All right.
I don't know a straighter guy. I don't know a straighter guy than my 2 cents.
Did I just have a stroke?
probably.
I just don't know anymore. I just don't know.
You probably
May
did.
I have context to this, may you please?
I honestly think I'm in a coma right now. I'm dreaming.
I
all
smell
this.
burnt
I don't
toast.
know.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and can I get a link to this on Discord, or like somebody put link the stream in my channel?
Of course.
All right.
All right.
Anyone is free to download it and mirror it on their channels.
Yep. And it's gonna
Well,
be it's
well,
streamed.
if
It's
it-
gonna be streamed and uploaded on my channel.
Okay. If everybody wants to go ahead and give yourselves a shout out, alphabetically as always, AmeriCap, go ahead.
I'm AmeriCap. I plan on posting some new videos soon, so be on the lookout for that. I post anarcho-capitalist content like these other wonderful gentlemen and gentle lady here. I have a good time on there. I have some laughs. But if you enjoy that kind of stuff, be sure to hop over to my channel.
All right. SO.
Hey, I'm Esoteric Entity, currently developing FNet, gonna have a new video up tonight. And I finally went an entire stream without saying the N-word. I was so tempted to say it right there.
Yay!
So tempted to say it.
All right. Well, at least we know this stream won't get. At least I won't get a channel strike for this stream then.
Probably.
All right.
You
Filthy.
still will.
Alright, so yeah, my channel is Filthy Heretic. Actually, new videos up, or at least will be up in a few minutes. So yeah, come check that out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and support me through Patreon or a one-time donation on Ko-Fi.
All right, Meg.
I make different ANCAP stuff. I have actually some planos coming up soon. I basically make some ANCAP stuff. I make some memes, and I have a small channel, but I'm still growing. I upload weekly. I'm actually starting to do some gaming stuff, so if you want to see that, I have a variety of different stuff, so follow me there. and it's just MAG, all caps.
All right, Night Shift.
I'm Night Shift 10,000. I still don't have any content, but I love being on here. I love being part of this, and I just had a great time. This was awesome.
All right, Pipsqueak.
Hey, I'm Pipsqueak. I annoy people on Twitter and post memes on Discord.
Yeah!
Yay!
This
Well,
is a very
thanks
valuable
for
service.
being
Don't
here.
discount
It
yourself.
was great to get to host the Cool Capitalist Kids podcast on my channel. For all of those of my followers, just give you guys a little heads up on tomorrow's episode of 2 Day with 2 Cents. For the first time ever, the Weekly Hottie is actually with me on the show to have a conversation. So we'll see if you enjoy that or not.
Awesome.
Oh, dang.
Yes.
Yeah,
an
I'm
up
probably
and
not
D.
going to watch it.
She's
Oh,
an
yeah.
up.
Speaking of which, yeah, I'm going to be out of town this next week, so I'm not going to be around. Just announcing that on this stream, I guess.
All
All
right.
right. But yeah, she's an up-and-coming Instagram model who is actually visited the show for the week to be the Weekly Hottie. So that being said, everybody, thanks for being here. Hopefully we'll do this again. And as always, that is my 2 cents. So take it for what it's worth.
See ya.